Welcome everyone to EdTech Mondays Nigeria, brought to you by the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Co-Creation Hub Limited. The EdTech Mondays is a platform to facilitate critical conversations on the use of technology for teaching and learning by bringing together key stakeholders, including policymakers, EdTech entrepreneurs, teachers, and parents. Thank you all so much for joining us on this episode of the show. Our topic for today is getting to the roots to strengthen STEM. Getting to the root to strengthen STEM. Someone is asking, what is STEM? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In the past few years, STEM education has been a national necessity. This need is being driven by concerns over international competitiveness and the increasing level of young Nigerians migrating to study in other countries, majorly for STEM-related courses. Studies have also shown that young people are not graduating with the skills required to succeed in a dynamic, fast-paced, technology-driven workforce. According to the African Development Bank, less than 25% of African higher education students are in STEM fields. Unfortunately, most African schools do not specialize in STEM subjects. And since few students can afford to travel abroad for an education in STEM subjects, there is therefore an urgent need to get to the root and strengthen STEM education in Nigeria. We would love to hear from you, our listeners. How can we get to the root to strengthen STEM in Nigeria? What is the role of technology in assisting more youths to pursue STEM careers? Please join our Telegram channel, EdTech Mondays Nigeria, or send us a text or WhatsApp message on 0703 165 0809. That is 0703 165 0809, and let us know what you think. In this edition of EdTech Mondays, our panelists are ready to discuss getting to the root to strengthen STEM. I would like to introduce our panelists in no particular order. We have with us today Professor Jerry Orhue, who is a professor of biochemistry and the Dean of Faculty of Life Sciences at the University of Benin, Benin City. He is affiliated with several international organizations, including the International Science and Engineering Fair, USA, and the ESCOM Science Expo, South Africa. He's currently the Vice President Sub-Sahara of the African region of the International Movement for Leisure Activities in Science and Technology. Since 2003, he has been involved with promoting secondary and more recently tertiary education. Apart from other educational support, youth development, and poverty alleviation projects, he organizes the Genius National Science Expo, a platform for kids to showcase scientific talents with an opportunity to participate in international science fairs. He has instituted a number of prizes in secondary schools and looks forward to providing undergraduate students with digital technology devices to aid their studies. Professor Orhue, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Also with us is Elohor Udubrae. She is a highly self-motivated and energetic individual with a deep desire to impact her community and truly become a global change agent. In the past 4 years, she has worked on various projects focusing on leveraging technology to address problems in the financial and education sector. These projects have been focused on empowering people with leadership, financial literacy, soft skills, as well as technical skills, STEM. With a career in project and program management, Elohor has been able to impact lives through her involvement with Junior Achievement Nigeria and also at STEMCafe by RVRB, where she currently works. as the program manager across Africa. She holds an engineering degree in chemical engineering. She speaks English, French, and 3 other native languages. Wow. Elohor, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
And finally, we have with us Tomi Kolawole, who is a seasoned entrepreneur, passionate about using the power of innovation and entrepreneurship to drive social impact and development in Africa. He was a United Nations Millennium Campus Network's co-campus director at the University of Ibadan and a co-founder and CEO at Vinsighte, a digital health company that uses artificial intelligence to aid visually impaired persons to read and navigate their environment independently. Under his leadership, Vinsighte has won numerous accolades such as Union Bank's 2018 Best Innovation Award in Nigeria, Holt Prize 2019, Dubai Regional Finalist, amongst others. Oluwatomisin is a passionate advocate for innovation, social enterprise, and youth development, and hopes to use the knowledge and insights he has been accruing to impact other youths in our great country. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, Tomi Kolawole. And so I have questions and they are coming to us one after the other. And I will start with Professor Jerry. A 2013 study by Aino et al. Expounded that there has been a continuous decline in science enrollment in Nigerian educational institutions, especially secondary schools. Another study in 2008 by the same body reports a 68.3%, 60%, and 46.6% decline, and 46.6% decline in enrollment for physics, biology, chemistry, respectively, at the College of Education Technical. At the College of Education Technical, Lafiagi, between 2012 and 2016. So, sir, what are the root causes for this very low uptake and interest in STEM by Nigerian students? And what has your experience been designing interventions to address this?
Thank you very much for the question. It's an interesting one. I probably will take a little bit down memory lane. I went to secondary school at a point where science was in vogue. If you were not a science student, you were looked down upon, and we were inspired, to study science. And that again was because at that time the government had placed some level of emphasis on science, like a government who intended to develop a nation. But somewhere along the line, we lost all of that. And that the incentive for sciences were altogether eroded. What is even more worrisome is that if you go around our secondary schools right now, especially the private schools, those who are serious with quality education will not even bother to venture into the sciences because they know they do not have the wherewithal, to run a fledged science laboratory, for example. So it doesn't make sense to put people in the classroom or the laboratory that are not what they are taught. So to say. Essentially, government has lost the drive to want to pursue national development. And the only way you can actually grow a nation is when you allow science to thrive. Today, for those who operate private school public schools, there's next to nothing you require, if you permit me to use that word, to be able to run smoothly. But if you want to run a chemistry laboratory, physics laboratory, you will have to spend a lot. Studying science is a lot more capital intensive than studying the arts. And so you can begin to understand why not many schools in the first instance want to float science-based discipline. It's also the same way we get to the higher institutions. The cost of running a science-based discipline vis-a-vis the cost of running an art-or science-based discipline are two worlds apart. But that having been said, we then also begin to ask ourselves if we are not producing enough science graduates at the higher school level, who do we expect to go back and train those at the secondary school level? So the deficit has been growing over the years, and it just keeps growing. And to me, we cannot as a nation think that we're serious about revamping science education until we go back to the very basics. I mixed the senior secondary scheme just by 2 years or so. I was 2 years ahead of that scheme, which was supposed to introduce the 63346 system. All right, and by that system, once you are leaving your junior secondary 3, you're supposed to have some basic skills that you have learned. A whole lot of things were brought into this nation, imparted for that purpose, but nobody was ever trained on them. And so many of those same items that were supposed to be used to train the students were stolen and carted away, by thieves and all whatnot, because even those who were going to use them to train the students were not trained, on the use of those items themselves.
Professor, thank you very much. My personal summary would be equipment and infrastructure that may be lacking in many institutions, and improper training of the trainers themselves, the teachers who should cascade this information to the students.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor. My next question will go to Tomi. The future of work is characterized by the new technology revolution affecting the type and quantity of available jobs, and is set to transform the entire global system of human existence. Much of this rapid scientific discovery leading to technological developments are rooted in the application of contributions from academic and scientific institutions. But too few institutions specialize in delivering STEM education. In 2017, the Vice Chancellor of Osun State University lamented that Nigerian universities are training students for jobs that no longer exist. So we would like to know, Tomi, I like the smile on your face already. How do we strengthen higher education institutions to deliver STEM and diversify course offerings? How do we make these more accessible to young people? Over to you, Tomi.
I think I will start by addressing the fact that currently we run an obsolete educational system in Nigeria. And if you look at it very well, we have other people going a step ahead of us, even in Africa. Countries like Ghana are taking a step to restructure their educational system. We have countries like Kenya and Rwanda also trying to do the same thing. And let us not talk about South Africa. And it's something I've always been complaining about because as a medical person myself, going through medical school, I found myself doing lots of courses that were not really relevant to the medical field and even to this current to this current technological world. And I think that what is really important is the fact that we need to work with the government or the Ministry of Education. I don't know how that's going to be possible because so many people have tried to infuse structures, infuse ideas to the ministries, to educational systems on how to incorporate technological concepts or technological ideas or technological structures for educational system. And because if we don't do that, we'll not be able to really grow and understand what it means to be able to drive technological change in Africa and even in the world at large. And I would go straight by stating that, for instance, if you look at the tech world currently, you see lots of people going to school, right, studying engineering, but when they leave, they have to go back on their own to learn how to code. So you have lots of engineering persons, engineering students, or engineering graduates being in the tech space, but most of them did not learn how to code. They did not learn the core of technology. I mean, digital technology while in school. They learned it on their own outside. So one way I think we can really address that, if we cannot do that with the government, is through entrepreneurship and startups. And I think we already have startups. We have lots of startups trying to address that already. So I think I always say this a lot. Having entrepreneurs in Nigeria, having startups in Nigeria has been a great blessing to this country. You see financial inclusion just skyrocketing these days. You see EdTech inclusions. You see lots of other digital inclusions for people with disabilities, for people who are people who are displaced in the society. People are getting to catch up, and most of the catch up that is going on right now are due to startups. I don't want to mention names of startups in the educational space, really doing lots of nice things. So I wouldn't want to just sit down and let us complain about the problems in the country, about the government. So I would say I encourage young guys, young tech guys, young innovators to try and build something interesting that students in schools, even students in secondary schools, students in primary schools can adopt and start developing themselves with, so that by the time they're in the university, whether or not they get the education in school, they are personally equipped. Because what matters at the end of the day is for them to be personally equipped, especially with STEM skills. So yes, I think the major solution is we as entrepreneurs, or we as innovators in the society, trying to develop something that will help drive that change. And also, I think we also have to encourage students to encourage young guys to ensure that they try to adopt this technological inclusion. So I think that's like the way forward.
Thank you very much. The more people we have coming in from the private sector, well, what we call entrepreneurship, the more we're likely to penetrate STEM into institutions when we have private sector infusion. Thank you so much. Prof, I'll take the question again just so that I can get your contributions. How do we strengthen higher education institutions to deliver STEM and diversify course offerings? How do we make these more accessible to young people?
If we look at what happened at the higher education level, one of the points I had made earlier is that if it's at that level we provide the needed manpower for the lower level training, then it becomes very, very critical. I mean, this is sad to say, but it is the obvious reality around most of our campus. You practically will have a laboratory setting that is built for 100 or 200 persons, accommodated well over 600, 700 persons. And then you're asking yourself, how are they going to learn? I had an experience of a young man who walked up to me and said, is as if coming to university is a big trouble. I said, what do you mean? He said, we just finished a practical class. And I said, okay, what happened? And then he said to me, we were more than 30 in my group. Now, the meaning of that simply is that with 30 students sharing the common apparatus, the bulk of them are going to learn by rumor. And by that, I mean, you're going to be transmitting what is happening in front, what did they see, what did they not see, and so on and so forth. So we cannot run away from facing the issue of poor infrastructure. The classroom is more exciting, the classroom is more engaging when you have the basic things to work with. When I was an undergraduate student, for instance, I had the basic things on my laboratory bench. And I was also told that it was a lot better way back, compared to when I came into school as an undergraduate student. But as we speak, it's even a lot worse off. How do you train, for instance, a chemist, all right, who cannot run the simplest of practicals in chemistry? All right, so it is extremely important. We can't run away from fixing the infrastructural deficit. We cannot run away from attending to the basic things that are required for teaching and for learning. Somewhere along the line, which again is quite something that became more like a cost, to this nation. Somewhere along the line, we started to send people out of this country for training, to acquire the needed skill to come back and train. And train others who are here. I can tell you first-hand information that every day the problem I have to deal with as the dean of a faculty is the myriads of people that were sent out of this country on training to come back and train others in the university who never returned. And what I have to deal with almost on a daily basis are people turning in resignation letters. Why, again, is it so? Now, they were sent here to do PhD program outside, all right, sent from here to do PhD program. Now they have acquired a PhD and they can come back. Why can't they come back? Again, it is the infrastructural deficit. Somebody now has acquired the needed skill and they say, why should I come back here and be redundant? There's nothing that I'm going to work with. I have been trained, but can I come back home and be useless? So they rather want to stay in a nation where they can find themselves useful. Now they'll come back here and then all the skills they have learned are lost because there's nothing to enable them put some of these skills to practice. So for me, it is key. Much as we want those who have traveled outside to come back, but there's also a moral question. To do what?
Come back to what?
Very recently, a lady had applied to my office of the vice chancellor, asking for an extension of her stay overseas. And I asked her, if I weighed in and you are giving this extra stay, you're asking for to complete your study. Pointed question. Would you come back to University of Benin and continue to teach with us? You know what she told me? She said, I would think about it. And that was a straight answer to me. I would think about it means that you're never going to come back. So again and again, we spend national resources to train people that will end up losing to other countries because they're never going to come back here to work. Why are they not coming back here to work? They have no basic tools to work with. So we need to fix that and fix it very, very urgently.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Elohor, my question is so direct. What can we do to ensure young people are leaving secondary school with STEM skills that set them up to pursue vocational training, higher education, and enter the world of work? Secondary schools now being the focus. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I would like to capitalize on what Tomisin had said earlier about getting the right resources. So we can start by providing the right resources for STEM education in secondary schools. By making, you also have to consider that aside from making these resources available, because you get to see a lot of organizations deciding to capitalize on going to schools and setting up tech space or donating systems without the enabling learning environment that follows afterwards. So after the donations of the systems or after the donations of these tech materials or these STEM materials, what follows next? Are there curriculums that help? Are there certified or very, very qualified teachers that are ready to deliver this STEM learning so that these kids can be able to explore the possibilities of what it is to tap their creative confidence and be able to build without even being taught outside as against being taught inside. So my own is, what I'm saying is, can we have a structure in secondary schools that provides right resources? Aside from the right resources, can we create enabling environments? Also capitalize on what Tomi said, the startups that we already have, can we have policies that will help these startups reach out to the secondary schools? Because this is something that we do at STEMCafe. If you know STEMCafe reach out to secondary schools, primary schools, and we teach them STEM programs from coding to mathematics to engineering subjects. So how can we make sure that the resources that are being available or that are available at the moment to the secondary schools that we have in Nigeria are able to deliver upon what it is meant to do, so that these kids will even see STEM as an attractive career by the time they're leaving, and not another world where they will have to start grooming themselves by themselves after school. So that's just it. We need right resources. We need an enabling environment. We need policies. We need people who are capable and able to deliver this. And you will see the results when they leave secondary school. They'll be able to stand by themselves or stand amongst others that have these opportunities in other countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We need more STEM cafes across more schools.
Yes, please. We need more STEM cafes.
I would send this question across to Tomi, saying just because our time is running so fast. Tomi, we would like you to take us through your journey as a student excelling in STEM and coming up with an innovative invention. What would you have done differently if you had the opportunity? Make it as fast as you can.
Okay. I think what I would have done better is trying to do what I did earlier, basically. So I think that's what I would have done better because it was later on, while in my fourth year medical school, I started to go deeply into technology and STEM. And aside from just helping me to develop a good startup, it also developed me personally. So engaging in STEM transforms, help you to transform others. It transforms you because it gives you the capacity in order to be able to build things that will impact other people.
Thank you. And for those who don't know exactly what it was you innovated or invented, please speak to us about it very briefly.
Okay, so I run a startup known as Vinsighte. I'm CEO at Vinsighte Technology. So Vinsighte is a digital company that makes use of artificial intelligence technology to those who are visually impaired to read books independently and conveniently. Currently, we've gone ahead, we've gone a step further rather, and our technology also helps visually impaired persons to identify the environment, objects, and things around them, basically.
Okay, thank you very much. Elohor, let me take you back on another question, if you don't mind, before I allow Professor to make 1 or 2 points, please. What is needed to ensure we prioritize STEM education in Nigeria? How is Nigeria going to increase STEM uptake amongst young people? Any unique lessons the rest of the continent can take from you, please, will be very helpful.
Thank you so much. I think that as developed countries are built on the premises of quality educations of their citizens. For example, you can take pride in having someone who has studied outside, someone who has studied in Nigeria, go out and changing the narrative, disrupting the educational space because you have quality education that has been given to you. But anyways, that's depending on where you've gotten that education from. So as a nation, I think we must put policies that prioritize quality education first in our policies, and also in engaging with ourselves, we must make sure that the government is also involved. We also have to ensure that we create awareness about the importance of STEM and how it can affect the outcomes of young people and their economies or their communities through community engagement, by making sure that we are consciously branding and making it as simple as possible. We make STEM look like one very big world of different worlds that young people cannot tap in. So if we make it simple, make it attractive, you will see that a lot of people would want to participate in STEM. Finally, I think a lesson that a lot of countries can learn, especially in our continent from Nigeria, is to see how over the past 10 years, Nigeria has been in the forefront of creating EdTech startups. I would say, or EdTech startups starting in Nigeria has been one of the things that you can notice in the past 10 years. And not only EdTech startups, you also have tech space. You also have maker spaces where people can explore, where people can come and create and be innovative. So as a continent, each country should focus its efforts in ensuring that they have similar priority, as well as maximize the opportunities that the result of these endeavors will bring. And you will see that very soon we will be known as a disruptive continent in the eyes of all the whole world. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It's our responsibility to make it attractive and simplistic to get people to want to even be more curious about it. So studies have shown that when carefully designed and thoughtfully applied, technology can accelerate and amplify the impact of effective teaching practices, as well as increase equity and access in education. How then can governments, teachers, learners leverage EdTech to improve and encourage STEM education outcomes in Nigeria? Professor Orhue, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like you to lead on this, and then Elohor, you'll make a contribution, and finally, Tomi will chip in what he thinks. Professor, please.
Well, if you ask me, the first impact is to ensure that the individuals who are to deliver these solutions, the individuals who are themselves going to deliver these solutions must first of all be ready. Again, I've been involved with a lot of teacher training programs all across this nation. I've gone around a couple of state training, and you will be amazed at what you see, in a secondary school classroom, especially with public school. And we also do not have to run away from this. Whether we like it or not, we have recruited the bulk of our teachers from the lower rung of the intelligence ladder across every university in this country. Those who are admitted through the education are those who didn't find placement in any other discipline. So that therefore entails, whether we like it or not, that the persons who have in their secondary school classrooms, most of them, not all of them, I don't want to generalize, are not necessarily the best of brains that we have. So first and foremost, we have to ensure that we have the best of brains in our secondary school classrooms. Right now, that is not the situation. Once I was holding a training for teachers in the setting state, and I just threw this question. And I said, how many of you here who are listening to me will have your child, make 320 over 400 in JAM, and probably 90 over 100 or 80 over 100 in the post-UME examination? And the child was up to you and say, Mommy, I want to read chemistry education. All of them said, God forbid. I said, what they have just said is that good brains don't want to teach. And until we're able to get our best brains to be in the classroom, then we are still joking. Now, having said that.
Yes. Okay. All right. Over to Elohor. Let's hear your contributions, please. Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
I think Professor has said the best of it. And I want to add to it by saying that all the stakeholders that are involved can leverage the opportunities or the EdTechs that we have, the EdTech startups or the EdTech spaces that we have, by making sure we are able to come up with easy to access, customizable products and services that can promote STEM education. But we should also be mindful that its content must be relatable and it should be specific to our own demographic. And also, aside from being specific to our own demographic, it should be relevant so that the kids that are learning, or the participants or anyone learning this STEM, learning resources from STEM, would be able to stand and compete in the 21st century and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elohor. Tommy, please.
Okay. I think it's two things for me. The first is policy. For STEM education to really get scaled across Nigeria, there will need to be policies that would help to improve this, that will help to improve adoption by schools, by institutions all over the country, and especially policies that will also help startups or innovators to be able to incorporate their technology into school systems, school structures, and the likes. And the second thing is partnership. I think for us now, it has worked a whole lot more than we could even imagine. Partnership is really important. Partnership in terms of startups, innovators working with the government, working with institutions on their own to be able to drive change, drive growth. So for instance, for us now, we have to partner with schools to be able to incorporate our technology into their own personal systems. So that's a way to also help to drive the growth of STEM education and the growth of innovation in Nigeria.
Thank you. Partnerships, bright minds, access. Thank you so much. To you, our listeners, we would love to hear from you. In addition to what we've heard from Prof. Elohor and Tommy, how can we get to the roots to strengthen STEM in Nigeria? What is the role of technology in assisting more youths to pursue STEM careers? Join our Telegram channel, EdTech Mondays Nigeria. And you can also send us a text or WhatsApp message on 0703 1650809, 0703 1650809, and please let us know what you think. Special thanks to our panelists today, Tommy, Kolawole, Elohor, Udubrae, and Professor Jerry Orhue. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you to all our listeners. We hope that you will join us again on the same station next month. My name is Joyce Daniels, your usual host. Bye for now.